Hello, fellow HSPs. I'm Julie Bieland, a psychotherapist that specializes in the highly sensitive person. It's also called sensory processing sensitivity. I wanted to share something for you today from my book. And my book is called Brain Training for the Highly Sensitive Person, Techniques to Reduce Anxiety and Overwhelming Emotions. One of the things that comes up a lot in my work with HSPs is this concept of how high our stress levels are. And the higher our stress levels are, the more it correlates directly to basically a meltdown. So that's the word I like to use. As a sensitive person myself, I understand that feeling, and somebody that used to have a lot of kind of emotional and physical meltdowns, actually. And I see that a lot in my work with HSPs, and I think there's a difference between being what I call a trained HSP versus an untrained HSP. And in the untrained realm, we often have incredibly high stress levels. Stress numbers is actually what I call them. And if you think about it on a scale of 1 to 10, and when I ask most people, what's your level of stress on a daily basis? A lot of times people will say about a 6 or a 7 out of 10 on a daily basis at least. It's rare that I actually see somebody walk into work with me who is less than that. So one of the things that happens, though, is that when our stress numbers are so high, we don't have very much space for this concept of sort of this ability to pause, reflect, and respond rather than instantly react. And so in the book, there's a diagram that I'll show you that talks about this. So if we are already walking around with high stress levels, at, for example, a 6 or a 7, and a stressor occurs, we jump up past this number, which is an 8. Anything really above a 7 is going to activate that limbic system emotional response that's going to be really part of having our cognitive brain go to sleep. So that's kind of what happens is, if you think about the brain as having those two parts, the emotional part and the cognitive part, we need that cognitive part to be activated also, because that's part of the ability to use facts and rational thought and things like that. Think about what our needs might be, and in order to have access to that, we have to keep that emotional brain, those stress numbers down. So if we go back to this, if you can have a goal of getting down to, I like to think about even a 2 on a daily basis, and a stressor occurs, you might jump up to a 5. But at a 5, you're not activating that emotional limbic system response. And there's space for that. So if you can get those numbers down, that helps us stay out of that reactionary space. And oftentimes, if we're reacting emotionally, there's this cycle that happens that we feel shame afterwards because we felt bad for our reaction, whether that's with our children, our families, our partners, at work. Any of those things can be very difficult, and that's something that I certainly had a lot of experience with as an untrained HSP, which is why I feel so passionate about helping to teach you some of the methods that help prevent that. So think about things that lower your stress numbers and things that increase it. Once you become more aware of that, it really helps you start to plan things out that will be intentionally helping you lower the stress numbers and creating boundaries around the areas of your life that cause a lot of stress. So those are some quick tips. There's lots more on my website. And my website specializes in the highly sensitive person, and there's a lot of good information on there about the trait and things that you can do to feel better. So as I always say, we need HSPs in the world. You're here for a reason. You're created for a reason. And it's really valuable to have you out there thriving in the world, and that is my mission, to help you do that. So take good care of yourselves in the process. Okay, bye-bye.